Hello, Malcolm here, and welcome to Tuesday Teaching Tips, episode 197. And today we're talking about, advice about audio for those of us who are now doing online live church services. As we're teaching and preaching online, what need should we be thinking about regarding audio? In the previous Teaching Tips video and audio, I talked about some advice about speaking techniques. But now we're going to talk a bit more about the details of audio. And this is on my mind because we're right now in the middle of the COVID-19 virus outbreak and church has shifted online. We had a service last Sunday online and the same this coming Sunday. And we need to be thinking about the audio. As I did a review of our service together with some of the location leaders from the Thames Valley Churches of Christ last night, one of the things we discussed most was audio. And I've reflected on that. I've got a few ideas that'll help us, I hope, in Thames Valley and where I am in Watford, but might help you also. This is not the last word on audio, and this is a fairly basic level. So we're not talking here about mega production audio. We're talking about relatively simple things that most of us can do to improve the quality of the audio for the people who are listening. It might not sound much different to you as you're speaking. In fact, it almost certainly won't make any difference to you speaking. But it will make a significant difference to the people listening to you being able to hear you clearly and then take in what you're saying. So that's what we're going to be talking about for a few moments. We're going to talk about microphones, we're going to talk about headphones, and we're going to talk about smartphones and one or two other things about sitting and standing. So first of all, microphones. Simple USB plug-in microphones are not very expensive these days. You can plug them into your laptop and they improve the audio quality hugely for your listeners compared to the built-in microphone on your display, your laptop, whatever you have that's built in. A simple USB microphone makes a huge difference. I've put a link in the show notes to a one that I used to use when I first started podcasting, and they still make it. It's really good. It's basic, but really good and quite small. And you might want to get that. It's part of the Blue series. Most of the Blue range are pretty good in my experience, and there's a link in the show notes. You might like to get that. Very simple plug-in thing. Now, if you're using a USB microphone that sits on your desk, then you could bear in mind that every time you bang your desk, or knock it or make some other noise nearby, it's going to reverberate because it's there on your desk, and it will, in the ears of the hearers, especially if they're wearing headphones, it can be quite loud and distracting. So if you're going to stick it on your desk, well, a couple of things you can do. One is some will hook onto the screen. The Blue one I've mentioned that's in the show notes, that will hook onto the screen. You lose a bit there because it's further away from you, but it's off the desk. Or you get some towels or something equivalent and pile them onto the desk and put your microphone on top of those, and that will deaden any of those knocking sounds if you end up banging your desk, which is going to happen. Frankly, it happens to me quite a lot, especially if you get excited about a point. You forget what you're doing. So bear that in mind. The next level up from a USB microphone that's either on the screen or on the desk is to get one that you can see. The reason why I've actually put this microphone visible in the YouTube video, which I normally have it a bit lower, but I've put it here so you can see it. This is the next level. This is still a USB plug-in microphone, but it's on a boom arm, and I'm putting links to these particular video, the microphone and the boom arm in the show notes. It's not like, I'm not getting any commission, by the way, and there's plenty of other very good types, but these are the ones I'm using at the moment. The advantage of having this here is it's very movable up and down and side to side. It's off the desk, so I rather like that. And I thoroughly recommend that you get the things that you'll see I have here, which is this sort of sponge thing over it, which is really meant for outdoor use to prevent wind noise. You can get what they call a dead cat type, or you can get this more sponge type. But this helps suppress the plosives, which you can probably hear as I pronounce my P's. Even with this on, you can still hear that these P's and D's and sounds like that can be quite disconcerting to a listener with headphones in. So this helps deaden that, as does the pop filter, which you can't see. So I'm going to rotate it around now. So I'm sorry if this makes some noise. But as I rotate it round, there you can see the pop filter, which does the same thing. It helps deaden the plosives, as they're called. So I like a combination of both. It might also depend on the way you speak as to how necessary these things are and how close you put them to your mouth. Generally, the closer to one's mouth, the better, generally, because then you can put the gain or the record level lower, which means you don't have as much background noise and hum and buzz. So I like to have both. You don't have to have them, but I'd recommend them. That's helpful. And the other thing you can do, of course, is to get a USB microphone like this and mount it on a separate microphone stand on the floor. That actually would give you the best protection against extraneous sounds like knocking on your desk. Any of those can work. It's entirely up to you what you will find most useful. So that's microphones. Again, you can go to enormous complexity with this. This is what I've been using for podcasts and videos and for online teaching, and let me know what you think about that. So that's microphones. Actually, I have one more thing to say about microphones, but I'm going to come back to that in a moment when we talk about smartphones. Now let's talk about headphones. You're better off as a speaker using headphones than letting the audio come out of, say, your display on your laptop or your separate display, because you minimize the sound coming back to the microphone as you're speaking into it. So you minimize the opportunity for feedback or for just jumbled, mangled sound, because you're speaking and somebody else might make a comment their end, or they forgot to mute themselves and a child says something, or they bang or someone knocks on their door. That's coming through the display and into your microphone along with your voice. It's a lot crisper and clearer if you're getting the sound from everybody else on headphones that you can hear, but the microphone cannot hear. So I'd recommend doing that. You might like to have some headphones like these. I really like my Sony, what are these? MDR 7506. These are fantastic, beautiful, clear ones. You can have those like that. You probably want to have one ear on, one ear off. It's easier to hear yourself that way. Or you could I have some noise cancelling Bluetooth headphones that I sometimes use. Those are pretty cool. Then you don't have to have a cable. Or my preference at the moment, at least, I have this Jabra Pro 930, which sits on a stand on my desk charging, and you hit it, and why I like this is you hit this button twice, it connects with Bluetooth, and then as I wear it, I'm not going to turn it on right now, but there's no cable, which I really like. It's very light. It's only in one ear, which is better for speaking because I can still hear myself well. And it's small and it doesn't look as obtrusive in the picture, and it works really well. Now, this is more expensive than most people would need. It's overkill for most of us, I think. I have it because I use it a lot for dictation, because my wrists and fingers aren't brilliant. I'm not a quick typist, so a lot of my writing I do dictation-wise and then tidy it up. And that's why I bought a more expensive one of these, because there's no point in doing that if it doesn't work well. So that can be helpful. You could use this for the microphone as well, but I don't when I'm teaching and preaching, because the quality in here is really meant for old landline telephone levels or dictation. It's not meant for this kind of preaching and teaching. It's not as clear. So it's fine for conversation with an individual person, maybe a very small group. But if you're talking to a larger group, you want a crisper, clearer sound coming through, especially if at the other end they don't have good bandwidth. And the more muddy the sound is to begin with, the harder it is if their end, the connection isn't too good. So the crisper and clearer the sound is your end, the more you're helping your hearers. So I really like that. You might find a cheaper alternative. Again, I like the fact that it's Bluetooth and it's light and it works very well. So that's headphones. Thirdly and finally, in terms of equipment, smartphones. Speaking via smartphones. Should we be using our phones? Where's mine? Here we go. Should we be using our phones through which to do our speaking? Nothing wrong with that. It does work. And if that's all you have, perfectly fine. The camera quality on these is phenomenal. It's better than the webcam I have here. And I have used them quite frequently. But to be honest, if you are the speaker, if you're the preacher and teacher, I'd really suggest you use your computer rather than the phone, unless you've only got a built-in camera and it's really no good. I'm using an external webcam, a Logitech. I haven't got the specifications in front of me, but it's an HD 1080p camera that plugs in via USB. It's much better than the built-in. But if you can't do that, then it works okay. But I think you'll find it a lot easier to speak into a larger screen. You're seeing yourself on a larger screen. You're seeing chat box. You're seeing perhaps other people's reactions. It's a lot better than trying to do that on the little small screen here, even though they are larger than they used to be. And also, you're generally not going to have this wired into your network via a cable, are you? Whereas your laptop will be, and the signal will therefore be a lot stronger and clearer for the people at the other end, rather than doing it through Wi-Fi. So most circumstances, don't use your phone unless you have to, but you can if you need to. Now, if you do need to, again, I would suggest that you get an external microphone. The microphones on these are good and they probably won't be too far away from you, but still you can increase the quality considerably by using a good microphone. I have 3 that I use for different circumstances. The first is a Rode. Again, the links to these where you can buy them on Amazon are in the show notes. This is the Rode microphone I use. I forget the exact model, but it's a really good one, simple. If you're using an iPhone, you will need an adapter like one of these, because that will make it connect to the right port there. They're not too expensive. It's really good. It's on a cheaper end, but it's actually very clear. If you really want top quality, I also did buy this Sennheiser mic, which is really quite expensive, but is absolutely awesome. And if you're going for top quality, you probably can't do better than this, at least on an iPhone. This is the version for an iPhone. I'm not sure what they do for other phones, but you can find some. So that's that. And then thirdly, if you want to be really sophisticated and really clever, and you've got the money and the time and the effort you can put into practicing with this, then why not go wireless? I recently bought these. These are fantastic. These are Rode wireless microphones. You clip one to your shirt and you clip the other one onto your iPhone stand, and then you have a cable to connect them. Nice colorful cable. And they are really, really good. And the advantage of the wireless ones, of course, you can move around if you want to. That might not be helpful, but it might be. So consider wireless if you want. It wasn't as expensive as I thought it would be. They are really good and very clear. They clip up here and you sound wonderful. Of course you sound wonderful. Why not sound as wonderful as you can? So that's smartphones and headphones and microphones. Just to finish off, one other thought. Have a think about whether it's better for you to sit like I am now or to stand when you're preaching and teaching. There are pros and cons with both approaches. Let's just think about those for a minute. You might not have thought about this. Sitting. First of all, sitting like I'm doing now. The advantages of sitting is that it's easy to have your notes, your Bible, all to hand on a desk, and it's right there, and you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. That can be very useful and calming for us as we're trying to do the best with our lessons. The negative is you can tend to lose energy, and you can end up slumping in your chair, not realizing it, and you're not really sitting up, and you've lost your energy, and that doesn't help your hearers. So if you're going to sit, do something to help you just to keep your energy. It might be sitting in a certain way. It might be having a little post-it note on your screen saying energy or something like that. But think about that, because your audience needs your energy, your spiritual energy. I'm not talking about putting on a performance, but if you're talking to 10 people or 100 or even more online, your energy is important. So think about energy as which is the challenge. Although sitting, it's easier with your notes and your Bible. Standing. When you're standing to teach and preach, it's much easier to maintain your energy levels. Sure, you can lose them, but somehow we are more naturally paying attention to our energy and expression when we're standing, and that can really help the people listening to you. The negative side is, firstly, you've got to be very intentional about where you put your Bible, your notes, or whatever else you have. Have a music stand there ready, or something like that, or something to put things on. That's something you need to think about. And also you need to be disciplined about staying within the camera shot and not moving around too much so that you are lost to the visuals. So think about that. In general, I would say sitting is usually better if you're addressing a smaller group. And standing is usually better if you're addressing a larger group. There's something about the energy levels that seem to matter more when you're talking to a larger group, even if that larger group is people in individual homes. There's still something about that. So just consider your own decision about whether to stand or whether to sit. Because some of that might depend on the light. It's beautiful, amazing light today. I've had to draw the blinds down slightly because it's so bright here. But if it makes a difference to get closer to some natural good light, then again you might want to think about standing or sitting, whichever is going to help you with that. Well, as you can imagine, there is an enormous range in terms of equipment, a variety of setups. There's an inordinate amount of YouTube videos and blogs online giving us advice, and mine is only going to join a very large amount of stuff already online. So I'm not expecting that this is going to be world transformational for you, but nonetheless, I hope it's helpful. And I would really be interested to know what's working well for you. What's working well for you with video, with audio, with the headphones we've talked about, with standing, with sitting, with just the general setup, with lighting. What's working for you in this space of teaching and preaching for online church services? I've been doing podcasts and instructional videos for a long time now. It's many, many years, and I've learned a lot as I've gone along, and I've still got lots to learn. But this arena of teaching and preaching live online to a church group is something that's brand new for me. I've only done it now twice, and this Sunday will be the third time. And so I'm learning a lot. I'm sure you are. We can become more effective. And the goal really for us is to be clear in our communication. You and I work on our lessons. If we allow poor sound quality to get in the way of the lessons, we might as well not have bothered. Instead, let's figure out the way we can make the sound quality the best we can, not to stress over it. And I know a lot of us have a lot on right now, so we don't need an extra burden. But if we're going to put the effort into preparing a lesson, let's do our best to make it as clear as we can so that it blesses the people that we've been called to teach and preach to. I know that's what you want. It's what I want. So please help me out by improving things for me, by trying things, testing things, and letting me know how it goes. If any of these tips have been helpful, feed back to me what was helpful and why. And if you're doing something different from what I've suggested and it's working for you, great, but please let me know what that is so I can pass it on to other people. That would be wonderful. Well, I hope all this has been helpful. Tuesday Teaching Tip episode 197. We'll be doing more of these. And if you have suggestions about topics you'd like to see me cover, then please do let me know. If you know someone who might benefit from this, please pass the link on. If you haven't already subscribed or got notification checked in YouTube, please do that. If you listen to the podcast, then please do leave me a review. I'd very much appreciate that. And until the next time, I hope you have a terrific Tuesday and a wonderful week. Take care and God bless.